Hello and welcome. I'm Janice B Gordon, co-president of the Professional Speaking Association, PSA Southeast, and visiting fellow of Cranfield School of Management, training and consulting key account managers in social selling and sales skills. But I'm really excited to be talking to the gorgeous Bella. As a professional speaker, I'm really honored because she's invited me to speak at her amazing event. And we're going to tell you all about that in a moment. But first, let's talk about Bella so that you get to know how gorgeous she really is. Now, we all call her Bella, but her real name, I don't know if it's real or not, but her name is Leigh St John, which is a gorgeous name. It just kind of trips off your tongue. She is an achievement strategist, author, speaker, award-winning photographer. And look at the background. I thought I had a good background, but look at hers. It's incredible.
Do you want to have a look-see? So,
oh, look at that! Amazing.
It's a hard life.
It certainly is. Oh my God, it's wonderful. So, award-winning photographer, luxurious nomad, and you can see in the background that she certainly is that. Bella has invested a lifetime study in human psychology, and this is really about what makes people tick, and it's has given her a unique perspective when it comes to the area of coaching people to achieve, learn and develop, and also kind of marketing and branding. So Bella uses this knowledge in the craft of creating her own books, both fiction and non-fiction. So she's a prolific writer, but also an observer of life as well and people. So Bella is a leading authority in abundance thinking, and I'm going to ask her lots of questions about that. Helping organizations to increase shareholder value in focusing on and leveraging the strengths and possibilities and successes. Now, Bella is a virtual worker. She is taking the nomad to the nth degree, and I'm really inspired by her. So she travels the globe and has been started off in Australia, and we'll talk about all the places she's been and how she started on this journey. But I think it's really interesting what she says, that she's a bit like Elizabeth Gilbert. You remember that book, Eat, Pray, Love? But actually, our Bella St John is Wine, Pray, Love. Come on, raise the glass, Bella. Let's see. Brilliant. Very much in keeping, hey? There you go. Red wine drink. So. Yes. Welcome, Bella. It's an absolute honor to be speaking to you.
Thank you, precious. Oh, the honor is all mine. Seriously, I've been looking forward to this.
Because we've done a lot virtually, really, and we haven't actually met. So I'm really looking forward to the end of September. Not yet, but we're like
2 weeks, 3 weeks.
I know. So exciting. It's so exciting. So Bella, let's start with your early life. What's the one thing you've always taken with you, the biggest impact in your life that's kind of driven you forward?
Well, I think the one thing I've taken with me, but that I only realized I was taking with me probably from my 20s or so, was that life really is not what you make of it. It certainly is that, but it's how you feel about it. I mean, if you think about, if you pull up at a set of traffic lights as they're turning red, it's a choice as to whether or not we go, oh, another set of red traffic lights, but I'm already running late, or to go, wow, I get to just stop and just rest for 2 minutes and 37 seconds, or however it takes, however long it takes for the lights to change. And I think it was the dear Wayne Dyer who had a comment about that, something along the lines of, look, just close your eyes, sit back. Someone's bound to let you know when they turn green. I love that. Was brilliant. So I think that's what I've taken with me all throughout, whether, even through the worst of challenges, is that there's always somebody that has it, even tougher. And if I focus on the problem, I'm never really going to be able to see the solution.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you started off in Australia and didn't catch the travel bug until you say your 30s. But then you traveled all around Australia, New Zealand, quite a bit of Asia, and then lived in the USA for 10 years. Now, that must have been a bit of a culture change.
Oh, it was wonderful. All my life, I thought that would be excuse me, where I would be living permanently. I always knew Australia was for me. And so I'd had quite a serious illness that was supposed to kill me, but I'm far too stubborn for that. And so when I was coming out the other side of it, it was like, okay, well, it's time to get a wriggle on and do something about this. So I moved to America and actually spent, over the 10 odd years that I was there, actually spent significant time in 42 states. So I have experienced more of that amazing country than most people born and bred there. And yes, it's fascinating. I don't feel as though I'll probably ever go back now. But yeah, I wouldn't have traded my decade there for anything. It was amazing. And the friends and for me, family, for me, I choose my family. I have no real connection to the vast majority of my biological family, so to speak, but my friends are my family. And the vast majority of those are still based in the US. But a number of them are coming out at the end of the month.
Yes, exactly. I'm really looking forward to meeting your family.
My family, yes. Well, you're a part of my family.
I know, but I need to meet my cousins.
Yeah, your American cousins, yes.
Yeah, my American cousins, yeah. So what started you on the travel bug? Because you were in America for 10 years. But then, yes, you've moved on from there and you're touring England. So what was the spark that initiated the laptop lifestyle?
Yeah, England, Europe, Romania, Scotland here at the moment, Ireland. Yeah, it was actually one incident. When I was living in the US, I had a sort of a business partner who, let's just say that she and I have different definitions of let's say our values when it comes to business. And after a meeting, I found myself $320,000 lighter. And yeah, and I won't repeat that. And so I left that meeting. And I actually went to the bar at Morton's Steakhouse in Las Vegas, where I was living at the time. And a dear friend of mine was the bartender there. And I walked in and Mr. John looked at me and he said, "Are you okay?" "Wine." I said, No, are you all right?" "Wine." I gave him the keys to my car, told him I was getting a taxi home. And I sat there at the bar at Morton's for probably about the next 3 or 4 hours, just looking at where else there was to go in the US, because all I knew was I had to get in my car and, as the song says, leave in Las Vegas. I just had to go. And so I packed up. I mean, I didn't even know where I was going or what I was going to do. I even went and bought a tent and a sleeping bag and I did actually go camping by myself, which was another fascinating experience. But friends were saying, "Well, where are you going?" And my only response was east. "Yeah, but where?" "East." And that was all I knew. And that was what started out to then be a 3-month, 8,000-mile road trip. Mm-hmm. And when I finally had to, grow up and come back and put some affairs in order, I thought, I kind of liked this lifestyle. Not so much that much of a road trip, but let's go live in a place for 3 months, 6 months, 12, 18 months, yes, or so, and get to experience it. Get to understand the culture, get to understand what makes people tick in that particular region and why. And that was actually what started this journey. So I probably still spent another that was probably 4 or 5 years in the US living that sort of a lifestyle before I decided that, which for me was a huge decision, not to renew my visa. I had like the platinum card of all visas, like 2 years infinitely renewable. Every 2 years I send off my paperwork, my money and my passport, and they go pa-ching, pa-ching, and it's another 2 years. And so it was a really big deal for me to say, yeah, no, I'm not going to live here anymore. But when I did, when I went, yeah, no, this isn't where I want to be any longer. It was like, well, where am I going to be? I have no ties to the country where I grew up, apart from a passport that has a kangaroo on it. And so it was like, all right, I'm going to now go explore the world. So I've been touring around, spending 3 months in this country, to 6 months here, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and have seen and experienced some amazing things, amazing places, and met some incredible people.
And I bet you have, because you're there long enough to really kind of get your feet under the table of the real culture, not the tourist culture. So yeah, exactly. You must have had, I bet you've got 1,000 stories. That's why you've got a fire pit for us all to sit round to listen to all your storytelling and adventures.
Oh, I don't know.
Share on.
I don't know, Rose. I'm certainly going to be pulling the pieces out of everybody else's. But yeah. But
well,
yes,
I've got a hippo story. Sorry? So I've got a hippo story.
A hippo story. All right. Well, I look forward to that. Now you've just made that a teaser for everybody else. So if you want to hear Janice's hippo story, you have to come to our event at the end of the month.
Exactly. And in great surroundings. Just look at that background. Beautiful surroundings. Yes.
We'll be out there on the deck.
Yes. So tell me about the system. Or lots of people want to be nomadic like yourself, or the laptop entrepreneur. What are the systems that you need to make it happen?
There are a number, and for me, I previously to having the illness to which I referred earlier, I had a very public career. Very much it was me needing to be on stage or in front of a camera or behind a microphone somewhere. So it required my physical dependency to turn up somewhere. And of course, when you can't get out of bed, that's a little difficult. Mm-hmm. So it took me seriously about 2, maybe even closer to 3 years to transition business across to the point where I could do it from anywhere. I could do it from an Irish pub. I could do it beside a waterfall if I had Wi-Fi, or if I needed to, I could do it from sitting up, perched in my bed. And so that was the first thing. And I think before anybody looks to embark on this sort of a digital nomad lifestyle, whether it's the backpacker type or the more luxurious end where I prefer, either way, my suggestion is that first of all, you get established a sustainable business that only requires you and your trusty laptop and tech equipment, whatever, and a Wi-Fi signal. Once you have that in place, then location doesn't really matter as long as you have Wi-Fi. So that's the very, very first thing. After that, there are all sorts of tips and techniques I could go into, but that's the number one. A lot of people that I've read about, or a couple that I interviewed, they took the plunge before they had that base in place. They thought they could just sort of make it up as they went along. And I'm sure you can. However, it's really difficult to do it that way.
Mm-hmm. I go away December and January each year, and I have done for, I don't know, about 15 years. And it started off going 1 week wasn't long enough, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, then 6 weeks. And now that's become part of my lifestyle. And I always set myself a project while I'm away. So I write a book, or I record an online course or so. So I do all the prep work. And I tell you, I work hard without even trying, because I open the door and it's not work. It's a beautiful environment. I get up with the sun. I work until sunset. I have breaks in gorgeous surroundings. I want to work. And because I think, okay, well, I want to read this book and I'm going to go down round the beach or, the pool for 3 hours, it means I have to get my 4 hours worth of work done and finish. And if I don't finish, I can't go down. So I'm at the most productive. Eventually that will become my permanent lifestyle, but for now it's having those 2 months away. But I think do you think it's giving yourself permission to do it? Because a lot of people say to me, oh, that's amazing, how do you do it? And I think, well, I just decided.
Yes.
Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of things within that. I'm a great believer of I used to do action for action's sake. Now, unless it's inspired action, I don't do anything. And now that's not saying I always meet deadlines. They're sacrosanct to me. But sometimes I'm inspired to do the work on that 3 weeks in advance. Sometimes I'm inspired to stay up until 2 days before the deadline. Yeah. But when you follow your inspiration, it was like you were saying about, you just get in and you just do it and it flows. That's when you're in that inspired space. So I think that's a really big part of it. The other, though, is that we need to accept responsibility for the fact that we are a result of the choices that we make or that we don't make. And I've spoken to so many people who've said, oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. Well, actually, you could. Every conscious action, is a choice. For instance, you don't have to go home tonight. Every single person listening to this, you don't have to go home tonight. Now, I'm not saying the consequences will be fabulous if you don't, but you could take your credit card, your trusty old credit card, down to the local airport and go, I'm getting on the next flight to anywhere at around this dollar point, please. You could do that. Every conscious action is a choice. And so to say, oh, I couldn't live that sort of a lifestyle. Well, I wouldn't have thought, if you'd asked me when I was still living in Australia, would I be living this sort of a lifestyle and sitting here talking to Janice, looking out over an amazing loch in these Southern Highlands, it would have been, oh, seriously? No. But it's a choice. So that's really the biggest one, is that if you say I can't, then as the saying goes, you're probably right.
Yeah. I think that we don't explore enough our free will. And then even not choosing is a choice, and really kind of like delve deeper about the decisions that we make or the decisions we think we haven't made, but actually we have. I think that's a really interesting subject, actually. And it leads me into more of what you do in understanding what makes people tick, what drives them, and how they view the world and how that actually affects the way they think and what they do. How do you support people in understanding all of that, the decisions they make, the views they have, and some people don't even are aware of the views that they have. So how do you do that?
Yeah, the vast majority of people have no conscious awareness of a lot of self. It's just a big black hole. It's just this nebulous mist. At the moment, one of my clients, for instance, is a large bank in the United States, and I am coaching a number of their senior managers and senior executives right through to C-suite on assisting them. They're going through a significant change process at the moment. So I'm assisting them for each of them individually to successfully navigate that change, but also for them to successfully assist their people to navigate the change and make sure that at all times they're focused on being the best they can be and assisting the bank to be world class. And world class is, if we take it away from banking, for instance, everybody's pretty much stayed in a hotel. In hospitality, we can talk about making a world class bed You know, that bed has been made to a world-class standard. We're not talking about just the owner of the hotel and world-class. Every single person, every one of us, you know, it can go, you know, all right, can I be better? Can I do this better? But then it comes down to coming back to your point, but the why. Why do we want to? Who are we at our core that we want to be the best that we can be? Who are we at our core that we're focusing on being of service? Who are we at our core? I mean, a lot of people are defined by labels. You know, husband, wife, mother, father, brother, sister, whatever. But who are you? How do you want to show up in the world? And that's one of the first things that we get down to is who are you? And even linking back to your question about nomad, you know, even determining, are you more the backpacker type nomad? Are you more a luxurious nomad? Are you somewhere in the middle? Are you someone who wants to stay put for 6 months of the year because you just like that stability and you want to go wherever for the other 6? Who are you at your core? What fires your soul? And so we come up with just a number of questions and a number of scenarios to assist the individuals to answer that question for themselves. I never give them that answer. That's a realization to which they need to come themselves.
Excellent, excellent. So then tell us more about achievement thinking.
Achievement thinking. Well, again, coming back to it's, you know, every conscious action is a choice, and everything really comes back to, I guess, let me frame it another way. The first question is, what do you want? And I think it was Mark Twain who said, oh no, I'm thinking it was Mark Twain, but now I'm thinking it's somebody else. But anyway, somebody of wonderful note said that I can teach anybody to get what they want. The trouble is hardly anybody knows what they want.
Yeah.
And I find that so often. It's like, well, what do you want? What sort of lifestyle do you want? You know, if you go to my corporate clients, you know, what sort of culture do you want to foster? You know, what sort of lifestyle do you want? What sort of nomad do you want to be? Yeah, what do you want? Because it's kind of like if you go back to Alice in Wonderland and the Cheshire Cat. And to sort of paraphrase that, you know, Cheshire Cat's up there and Alice is saying, you know, tell me how to get out of here. And the Cheshire Cat says, well, where do you want to go? And she said, basically, I don't care. I just want to get out of here. And the Cheshire Cat says something along the lines of, well, it doesn't really matter which way you go, does it?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The very first thing is determining what you want. And then the achievement thinking about that is what are the actions about which I feel inspired in order to move toward what I want. That's achievement thinking. That's focusing on your objective, focusing on your goal. And it's not, I used to be, but I'm now no longer into, oh, well, I have to do this at 10 a.m. every day, and I have to do this at 11, I have to do this at 11:15. And yeah, I mean, a friend of mine, it works really well for him, but he has his entire calendar blocked out in 15-minute increments for 6 days a week. And it works for him. He's ex-military. It works for him. So does not work for me. But again, it comes back to what do you want? He wants a regimented 15 minutes so he knows everything that he's going to be doing. I want flow. I want the freedom to be able to say, today's a nice day. I'm going to get in my car and pop the top off and go for a drive and just see what I find. Yeah. It's what do you want? Achievement thinking is all based on that. First of all, the focus on what you want. Does that help answer the question?
Oh, it certainly does. And it leads us into talking about business abundance, the events that's on the 28th to the 30th of September. So tell us more about what's going to happen. We've got an incredible lineup of international speakers, and we'll have intimate discussions and sharing of insights. It's going to be fabulous and great background. But who is this intended for? Who should be at this amazing event?
Although it's entitled Business Abundance, one of the people attending, for instance, she only just registered herself as a business, I think 2 weeks ago, her very, very first endeavor. Right through to, we have people like myself that are 127 years old that have been in business forever, and anywhere and everywhere in the middle. This is for anybody that is interested in an alternative way of thinking about how they transact in the world, not just financially, but with regard to being of service and having some sort of remuneration on the back end of that. Now, that remuneration doesn't need to be financial, but anybody who's interested in what does it take to be successful, and success back to what do you want? You know, successful doesn't mean being a squillionaire if that's not what you want. Yeah, I have a friend, for instance, who only wants to work 1 day a week. And so they have brought their lifestyle to the point where their desire to work 1 day a week and their desire for a certain lifestyle are actually a match. So again, it comes back to what you want. And the abundance is all about how you think about that, how you approach that. So this will be like no other event you've been to. It's not like a normal conference. I've facilitated conferences for gazillions of trillions of years, and this is like none that I've ever done. These are short, fast, 20-minute turnovers. Sometimes we have somebody speaking. Other times it's like a workshop with people at your table where you're doing something. You go, what does this have to do with abundance? But then we do a debrief at the end, and you get to explore with your team at that moment what this has to do with abundance and how you can look at things differently and be applying an abundance mindset. So the people to attend this, pretty much anybody who is looking to, in some way, shape, or form, have a more abundant life, where part of that abundance is where they're relying on self to generate it.
I also think that the person you mentioned that's only just registered their business, can you imagine being in a room where everyone's an expert, not necessarily in a theory or a, expert knowledge in, but expert in life? And yes, all of the discussions and the challenges that you'll have when you've got a variety of people with a variety of perspectives and backgrounds and comes from different cultures. And then you looking at a problem or answering a question, and it comes from that the variety and the diversity of perspective. Incredible things happen. I can imagine in the room the energy and the spark. So anyone that may have a question that they're struggling with, then they need to come along. Any question, it doesn't have to be a business, any question, because your business is an extension of you, whether you're employed or self-employed. So anything that you may be stuck on, and the worst thing in life is to be stuck for a long time. I'm sure this will help shift you, and perhaps shift you in a direction you had not even anticipated, because of the amount of energy and experience and knowledge and goodness that's going to be in the space. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think everyone's going to come out different, don't you?
Oh, we all do. I mean, it's every time I run any sort of event like this, you can't help but come out different. And I think if you don't come out looking at the world differently, then I would re-examine self.
Yeah. And this is the event to do it. I mean, other traditional conference type events, you kind of know what to expect, what you're going to get, the same old antidotes, and you come out exactly the same. And you think, what was that about? I've just spent...
Exactly.
Go on.
And this one as well. I mean, even start off with our venue. Our venue is an historic paddle steamer on Loch Lomond. I mean, how different is that to begin with? On the Saturday night, we're going to Fruin Farm and we're having a Hollywood, break out your bling dinner, and then back to the Maid again on the Sunday. And so, yeah, it's a very intimate gathering. People are regularly swapping around, so you will get to actually network and truly meet the other people in attendance. And it is a small gathering. It will only be around about 35 people in attendance, deliberately so because of the venue, but also because of what we want to achieve.
Yeah, yeah. And look at that background. That's the background that you're going to be in. So if you don't have inspired thought in that background, then really there is some blockage there. When you're in just going for a walk and talking to people in environments like that inspires incredible things.
Yeah. But even if there is a blockage there, it's events like this that challenge you, that, where we'll have, panels and interaction and, and people pulling apart puzzles and, it's those sorts of things that help break through those blocks.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, I did have a question about steampunk, but I'm going to leave that to when I'm actually face to face with you, because we're running out of time. I've got 3 very quick fire questions for you.
All right.
I had to look up steampunk because I didn't know what it was, so I'm going to challenge everyone that's listened to this.
Up until about 4 years ago, I didn't know what it was either, but it's so up my alley, I can't believe it.
It's like, I found it finally.
Yes. So everybody else listening is over on their phones going, steampunk?
Yeah, exactly.
Steampunk?
Exactly. So let me ask you some quick fire questions. What's one thing you haven't done yet?
Climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and I was going to do it. However, I found out that the challenge I have with my heart and lungs, by the time I got up there, it would kill me. So I decided that was something I was going to delete from my bucket list. Although my bucket list has about 1,200 items on it, of which I've done around about 650.
Wow. Yeah, you're going to have to get a longer bucket list.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, what are you most passionate about and why?
Well, I don't know that it's most, but it's let's say it's one of the equal top of tree. I'm most passionate about my historical fiction series, historical time travel based on real people, real events, and time travel that's based on real quantum physics. And so the protagonist, the lead character, her name's Bridget, and I've had my series. I've published the first 3 books in the series. It's called Quantum Lace. And I've had it described by a couple of different people as a cross between Outlander and Downton Abbey. And so I'm so passionate about Bridget's story, and also each one of the books. The first book basically sets the scene, but after that, each one of the books delves into an otherwise piece of forgotten history. And so I'm really passionate about helping people learn about parts of our history that just have been forgotten or have been swept under the carpet. Like book 2, for instance, focuses on the worst maritime disaster in British history, and hardly anybody knows about it because it happened just after Dunkirk. And Churchill put a D notice on it because he basically said, the papers have had enough really bad news for today. And there's an estimate of anywhere between 6,000 and 9,000 people perished in that one disaster. That's more than the Titanic and 9/11 combined. And many historians don't even know that it ever happened. So it's bringing these to light because, we have ancestors of the people that were affected by these periods in history, that some of them don't even know that their grandparents, great-grandparents, great-uncle, whatever, experienced these things. So I feel very passionate about my duty to not only bring those to light, but to do it in a way that really honors the facts within that. Like there's one piece, for instance, just as an aside, where Bridget is handed a cup of hot tea in a brown enameled mug. Now that's that's basically the offhanded way that it's mentioned, but the fact that it's a brown enameled mug, what a lot don't know, historians obviously do, but the rest don't know, is that the military used to have white enameled mugs, but the Germans found out they could spot them easily from a distance, so they used them as target practice. So the British military changed them to brown enameled mugs. So I go into that level of detail, but unless you're an historian, you don't even notice it. You just skim past it. But I'm passionate about those details being accurate.
Well, you certainly are. My God, oozing out of you. Really fabulous. And, you know, we haven't had time to talk about your book, so that's brilliant that you got that in. It's really fascinating. Can't wait to read, you know, because it's a whole new genre for me. So, and I think for a lot of people, so it really introduces them to quantum Leigh. So last question. If you're on a desert island on your own, what's the one thing you would take with you?
Something that will write on whatever is available for me to write on. So if it's a scratch thing, if it's a pen, it's whatever is available on that island as a writing surface, it's whatever will write on it.
Brilliant. Writer to the heart.
Yeah.
It's been fabulous talking to you. Really, absolutely fascinating. So if anyone puts in business abundance in Eventbrite, then the Eventbrite, a page will come up and you can read about all of the speakers, the international speakers that will be there. Correct. But, you know, I'm absolutely, just book it. It's a free event. You know, it's free.
Yes, in Loch Lomond. And it's only about 40 minutes from Glasgow Airport.
Yeah. So it's just, you pay for your accommodation and the food and everything. But, you know, this is accessible to everybody. Look, you need a break. So come along and get inspired. This is going to be the kind of inspiration you're not going to get anywhere else. I am so excited about it. I absolutely cannot wait. But I'll put the link in the bottom when I post this as well. And I'm going to meet my adorable cousins and family as well. And, you know, give Bella a hug. And it's her birthday next week, this time next week. So everyone wish Bella happy birthday for next week as well.
Thank you, darling.
Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll have to do this again because there's so much we didn't get time to talk about.
Correct.
So thank you.
All right, Precious. You take care. Bye.
Bye.